Welcome, everybody. Everybody's rolling into our main room here. Hope everybody's having a great day. We're just hours away, potentially, from your holiday weekend starting, or you got one more day before the weekend starts. We're getting very close there. And I got to say, I love of everybody's photos. I love Carrie Wagner. Carrie Wagner's got a very cool image there. Very cool, Carrie. You never
like
disappoint, my friend. So thank you for
Try
that.
never to disappoint.
Ah, look at that. I
Oh,
love
it
it.
moves.
It moves. So we will begin in just one moment here. Apologize just for a couple minute delay. And we are very excited to kick off our May elevator pitch. And we'll get started in just one moment. All right, everybody. So my name is Dan Tomaszewski. I am the other Dan Tomaszewski, the OG, the original. And I appreciate everybody being here today. We're going to have our May elevator pitch. We've got three very exciting presentations from our sponsors. Of course, we have Larry with DataStream. We've got Jason and Miles with our friends at Kaseya. /Datto / we'll just let's put an asterisk, all of the above or everything included. And then Scott Bauer with Quoter. And very happy to have each of you guys here. How are you guys doing today? All set?
Doing great.
Doing well. Hi, Dan.
Hello. And so today we're going to be kicking off our elevator pitch. So elevator pitch, the intent of elevator pitch is give our MSP community the opportunity to learn from each of these vendors, find out more about what they do, who they are, and how you can reach out to them if you would like to learn more. So what we're going to do is each of them will get a 10-minute opportunity to do their elevator pitch, if you will. And then after that, we're going to be going into our demo rooms. Gives an opportunity for you to be able to see a little bit more hands-on, but also get some of your questions answered that you might have. And a couple of things just to note, there won't be any questions during their presentation. So, save up all your questions for the end during the demo rooms. Please do stay to the very end because there is $250 hard cold cash that will be in the hands of one lucky attendee today. So you do need to be present to win. If you are out there in streaming world, if you're on our Facebook group watching via streaming, please join us live so that you can have an opportunity to win. And who couldn't use $250 on a holiday weekend, right? Yeah, definitely. So we've got that as well. Now we're going to do another thing too. Is after all the presentations are complete, we're going to open up a poll, and if you'd like to learn more about any of our sponsors today, you'll be able to select those, and then basically we will have them reach out to you. So with that being said, let's kick things off. We'll get started. We're going to do things in alphabetical order just to make sure that we're not playing favorites to anybody. So we will start with DataStream. I'm going to have Larry give us an introduction of who he is before we kick things off and we start the timer for his 10 minutes. So Larry, tell us who you are.
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out myself, but my name is Larry Metter. I am the channel chief with DataStream Cyber Insurance. And I'd like to say that I'm a channel guy who just happened to find himself in the world of insurance versus an insurance guy who's in the channel, because I've been in the channel for quite some time. I was with CNET Content Solutions for about 17, almost 18 years. Then I was with GreenLink Networks for a little while, which is a VoIP provider. And now here I am with DataStream, kind of spreading the gospel and educating on cyber insurance and why it's important and all of that good stuff. So that's who I be. And Dan, are you ready for me to share a screen here or what?
Actually, before we begin, I need to know, I need you to tell us one thing unique. I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't tell any of you guys that you were going to be doing this. So I've got to throw a curveball. Tell us one thing that nobody knows about Larry.
That would probably, there's maybe a few people that have heard this before, but for the majority, I played music for many years up and down the East Coast. Kind of played in a cover band that did all kinds of different stuff. But I guess one of my claims to fame is our band actually got to play for Ronald Reagan's inauguration. So that also tells you I'm an old fart. So um,
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
so yeah, man. So I've done that, and the other thing, we actually back in the day before people knew who Dave Matthews Band was, they were a band out of Charlottesville, and we actually shared a venue with them on a couple of different occasions. So
That is
there you go.
awesome. So next time that you run into Larry, make sure you get his autograph because he's the music man. So so Larry, I'm going to hit start. You've got 10 minutes and you do have co-host capabilities to be able to share any presentation that you have.
Fantastic.
And
Yeah.
go.
And go. Here we are. All right. So once again, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here. I'm also going to have John Reith. I don't think he's on quite yet, but he's on my team. He's a partner success manager. We're going to do these breakout rooms at the end. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to drop kind of early because I'm actually at an event where I'm speaking on a cybersecurity panel. So I've got to drop, get downstairs and get on stage and do all that stuff. So John will be there to answer any questions. And he can probably answer those questions even better than I can. So that's a fantastic thing for you guys. But I just kind of want to talk about cyber insurance and cyber risk. And a lot of MSPs, when I first started doing this back in December of 2021, were like, we don't want anything to do with cyber insurance. But you know what? Cyber insurance really is the ally of the MSP because the requirements from the cyber insurance carriers are really driving spend for MSPs and accelerating that sales cycle. But what we talk about here is cyber risk today is a top concern for all company executives. If it's not, man, we got to do some better education because cyber risk is the biggest risk that I think any business out there faces. And of course, there's been a lot of media coverage, and there's two sides to this. There's been a lot of media coverage of cyber attacks. It's led to increased demand for cyber insurance, which is great for the carriers. But here's the problem for MSPs. Most of you guys are calling on small to medium-sized businesses. And how many of you have had those clients say, I'm too small. Nobody's going to attack me. I'm not important enough. They're after the big guys. They're not after us. Nothing could be further from the truth. The SMB sector is the sector that is being the most targeted right now. Matter of fact, here's some of the numbers. 61% of SMBs were the target of a cyber attack in 2021. The one that is scary as hell, in my opinion, is 75% of SMBs could not continue operating if they got hit with ransomware. And obviously, you can see the other numbers out there. Ransomware payments in 2021 through the roof, $800,000 and plus, and then the average cost to remediate, $1.4 million. So you can see why this can put a business out of business. So who are we? We've thrown some numbers up there, all that good stuff. So DataStream is a specialist cyber insurance only broker. We actually have about 40 different cyber insurers in our portfolio. And we're here to try to make this process much easier for you guys. As you know, or if you don't know, in order to really talk in the weeds about insurance, and obviously in order to sell insurance, you have to be a licensed insurance agent, which we are. We're licensed in all 50 states, and we're licensed up in Canada as well, with the exception of Quebec, just because Quebec is Quebec, they like to do things a little differently up there, right, Miles? So anywho, we are licensed up in Canada. We're licensed in all 50 states. But one thing I want to point out here, our parent company is a company called Envelop Risk. Envelop Risk is the world's third largest cyber reinsurance company. And I got to tell you, I told you I'm not an insurance guy. So when I first started here, I'm like, okay, what the heck is a reinsurance company? A reinsurance company is the company that insures all of the other insurance carriers out there. Now, why is that important? Well, that's important because we actually have visibility and insure roughly about 90% of the North American marketplace right now. As such, we've got access to an awful lot of claims data over the past 5 or 6 years, policy data, different things like that. And under the hood, we're really a data science company. We've actually pulled in data scientists from the aerospace industry because they looked at this sector and said, man, we could use some artificial intelligence and some machine learning, and we could make the cyber insurance sector a much better business, much better policies, all of that good stuff. So under the hood, we're data science. That's kind of what differentiates us from anybody else out there. But let's talk about the current cyber insurance market. We've actually seen that there's a tiered system developing amongst the carriers out there. Certain carriers have better policies, but those that have the better policies have much more stringent requirements in place. Other carriers who don't have as many requirements may not typically offer your customers the best policies, especially when we're talking about the premiums, the deductibles, also known as retention. And then there's one big thing out there that a lot of people aren't aware of. Most insurance policies are reimbursement policies, whereas you have a car wreck or your home burns down, different things like that. You may have to pay money out first and wait for reimbursement to come from the insurance company. Well, cyber insurance is kind of the same thing. So one of the things that we always look for are what are called pay on behalf of policies, because if you're a small to medium-sized business, you may not have a whole lot of financial resources. You can't afford to pay out $50,000 or $100,000 because you just don't have that much money in the bank. So a pay on behalf of policy means that insurance carrier is going to pay for you rather than you have to dish out the money. Yeah, that policy can be a little bit more expensive from a premium perspective, but we always feel that that's so well worth it for the SMB. Now let's talk about those requirements that the carriers have out there, because guys, as you can see on the screen, that means it's money opportunity for y'all, because all of a sudden now you've got third-party unbiased resources coming in, backing up what you're already telling your customers. How many of you told your customers you really need to put MFA in place? And they're like, I'm too small. I'm not important enough. It's too complex. It's too expensive. Well, bring us into the conversation, because then all of a sudden we can say, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, you need to listen to your IT provider here, your MSP, because they know what they're talking about. We're here to tell you that without these things, you're virtually or could be uninsurable. So all of a sudden, now you kind of see how insurance requirements are helping drive spend for you guys and accelerating that spend. Right now, the top 5 requirements: MFA, password management or privileged access management, on-site, off-site or cloud backups done on a regular schedule, EDR, MDR, XDR, any flavor of that, and then end user security awareness training. Those are the big 5 requirements right now. And this is something that evolves over time. If we were talking 3 or 4 years ago, you might not see all of these up here, but those requirements are going to continue to come down the pike. It's going to continue to drive spend for you guys. So we really encourage, you're already selling the tools, the technology, you're getting involved in the processes, compliance, all of that good stuff. We're really encouraging you to adopt a holistic approach to cyber posture. And it's the 3-legged bar stool. In order to have a firm, secure foundation, you got to add that third leg. And that third leg really is cyber insurance. Use cyber insurance to kind of help guide this whole process, all of that fun stuff. And you know what? It's really making it to where MSPs can lead the way. And if you're not already engaging your clients in all 3 of these areas, the tools and technology, legal and compliance, and cyber insurance, sorry, but you're actually doing a disservice to your clients. And you know what? Even worse, you're potentially opening up the door for an MSP who is having all of these conversations, come in and steal that customer from you. So we help you guys out because we've got some fantastic cyber insurance readiness assessments. And we have already proven the MSPs that are using our readiness assessments, they can identify security posture shortcomings really easy, and they're being able to turn those into revenue very easily. And if you're having these conversations, it really kind of helps solidify your position as a one-stop shop for all things cybersecurity. And even better, it kind of helps make that customer stickiness, that entanglement, much, much better for you. So why is cyber insurance valuable to your customers? Well, if you don't already know, it's going to help protect their business, in the event they have some type of security incident out there. So it's going to provide financial protection. It's going to provide business continuity. It's going to help protect it'll cover the cost of protecting their reputation if they were to have some type of a breach. And, bottom line, cyber insurance typically is well less than 10% of what a client typically spends on their total IT budget. So it's really a lot more reasonable than people think. So what does a good standalone cyber insurance policy cover? Obviously, data breaches, business interruption, cyber extortion, also known as ransomware. But as you can see on the screen, and I'm not going to read all of these, there's lots of hidden costs that happen in there, such as legal fees or digital forensics, IT forensics, different things like that. PR support, if you do have some type of incident and you got to notify your customers and rebuild your reputation, a good policy is going to help cover on all of those things. So one of the things I talked about that helps sets us apart, outside of being a data science company, but we have our own cyber insurance readiness assessment. We're looking at this now from an insurability perspective, not a technical perspective. You guys are the technical side. We're insurance. We're trying to help show how your customers can get insurance, and we're helping give you data that you can get out there and get in front of your customers during your QBR or whatever you call it. Anytime somebody applies for cyber insurance, that carrier is going to do a scan of that customer's domain. Look, we all know that doesn't tell them a whole lot, but it does give them a good signal on whether they potentially are going to see some problems on behind the firewall, different things like that. So our assessment is just helping you guys get in front of the process, because we've seen it happen. We've had MSPs come to us and say, you know what? I had a client go rogue. They went out there and applied for insurance, and all of a sudden the client came back to us saying, hey, the insurance carrier raised a red flag. Why am I paying you all this money if the insurance carrier is telling me I'm going to have a hard time getting insurance? So this assessment helps you get in front of the process. We can run this. All we need is the client's name and their domain. We will run this. And like I said, using that data science magic that we've got going on, what we're doing is we have basically gone out and created a anticipated baseline risk by each vertical, by each revenue band within a vertical, so that we can give you concrete data that you can put in front of your customers. Like in this one on the screen, it's a healthcare company, and we're able to say that 9 to 13 companies out of 100 will probably have some type of security incident in the next year. The average cost of that incident in this particular vertical is $74,000. The total cost of cyber insurance claims in this vertical was almost $72 million. And the worst case claim was almost $7 million. So now all of a sudden, you as the MSP can put hard evidence in front of your customers to reinforce why they need to get cyber insurance. And then we can run what we also call our portfolio risk report, which is basically, what's that? Buzzer?
You got the buzzer.
Oh man, I was almost there too. So anywho, well, I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time. Obviously, we're gonna have that breakout room, so come talk to us if you've got some more questions.
Awesome. I apologize about that. We were going a little bit over, so I was trying to find the hook. I do the good old hook to pull you off the stage, but I couldn't find it. So we need, that would be a really cool plugin for Zoom to add in. That would be cool. So
yank somebody off stage.
Yeah, exactly. So Larry, I just one quick takeaway. One of the things that you mentioned that really resonates with me is, we as MSPs are often talking till we're blue in the face to our clients about the requirements that they need to have from a security perspective. We're not even talking about, liability insurance yet, right? But we're just saying, we need to have this in place. We need to have that in place. Like you mentioned, MFA, privileged access, offsite cloud storage, EDR, security awareness training. And, sometimes what it takes is another party good cop, bad cop, to be able to assist us. And that's where the beauty of cyber liability insurance comes into play, is that in order for them to be compliant, they need to be compliant with those requirements. So it's a great way for us to help drive project work and just leverage that. So I appreciate
Indeed.
that. So we're going to have more information in a little bit with DataStream in our breakout group. So thank you very much, Larry. We're going to move on to Jason Price with The Price is Right. Oh, I had to throw that in there. I'm sure you've never heard that before, right?
1 to 25 times.
Exactly. So real quick, one unique thing about you, Jason, that nobody knows.
One unique thing, most people probably, since nobody here really knows me, I started doing storage units and purchasing them and going through them and selling the stuff. And, in the last, say, 2 years, I probably did 25 or 30 of them. And it is just as exciting as you see it on TV.
That's awesome.
You never know what you're gonna find. I found gold, I found Salvatore Dali prints, I found some unsavory stuff as well. So it's been pretty cool.
That is awesome. I love to hear those kind of stories, and I love watching that show. So we're next conference. I'm gonna buy you a beer and hear more about that.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely. I look
all
forward
right,
to
let's
it.
kick it off and hear more about Datto networking. Jason, the floor is yours, and the timer has started for 10 minutes for you.
Awesome. Thank you. So once again, Jason Price, here with Kaseya. I'm Legacy Datto, so I've been here around 9 years. So I see some familiar faces and names in here. So happy to see you guys again. And so let me just kick it right off, right? So first off, we have tons of different products here at Kaseya. I think we're up to like 40 something different modules. Today it's going to be about Datto networking, right? And the importance of Datto networking. So the most fundamental piece of any business is going to be your network, right? It doesn't matter the size of the business, whether you're small, whether you're big, enterprise, 1 person, 2 person office. Like if there is something wrong with your network, if you're not getting internet, if you can't communicate with the outside world, you won't be in business very long, right? And so I think it's safe to say that no matter what, the network always has to be up, running, robust, and be able to deliver the content that needs to be shared. And so there are a couple big things that we really have to really consider when we start talking about the network, right? So first and foremost, right, so from a device standpoint, there are 43 billion devices that are currently connected to the internet. That is insane, right? If you think about your house, right, and you think about the different Wi-Fi light bulbs and the Wi-Fi coffee makers and the clocks and this and everything just talking to each other, you can see how it can easily jump up to that $43 billion device range. Bandwidth, right? So bandwidth is one of the most crucial things as it pertains to your network. The bandwidth demands are growing about 50% per year. And according to a very big networking company, I don't want to plug them, but about 80% of all traffic that is going over the internet is video content, right? And so you think about that from your Netflixes to your Apple TVs and all these different programming, right? You can see how we're really getting stretched thin from a bandwidth standpoint. You have IT and OT, right? The convergence of different networks, right? When it came in the 2000s, and there was this convergence of IP and telephony and all these things working together, and now we're sitting in a situation where it was very, very disruptive. And then the edge, right? So the edge is always changing. We'll talk about a little bit more about that later. But when it comes to the edge, one of the things that we're seeing right now is hybrid work, right? More people are working from home, working from the beach, working from Starbucks, and right now we're seeing that the network edge is harder to be defined. So when it comes to Datto networking, there are a couple of things that we've really strive to show in terms of our vision and our commitment. So we started from the thought process of business continuity. That started with our BCDR and making sure that you have the ability to always have your data no matter where it lived. And we wanted to bring that into the networking space as well, right? We have resilient networking capabilities, right? So we have reliable hardware. It's high performant, right? We don't compromise, right? We give you things like making sure that you always have, 4G failover capabilities in some of our networking suite. We are established, right? We have over 250,000 active networks, millions of devices worldwide. And this was all designed with MSPs being first, right? Front and center. There are tons of different networking companies out there, right? And typically they fall into one of two categories. Either it's a commodity, something you can go to Staples or Best Buy, Amazon, you can order it. Typically your Linksys, your Netgears, things of that nature. And then you have your enterprise stuff, right? The stuff that is, really performant. Typically you need somebody who's really, really good in terms of understanding the network. So, a higher end network engineer, someone who has all the different certifications. Typically with the enterprise stuff, it's not really built to be used by MSPs. It's usually more so for enterprise. So from a multi-tenanted capabilities, you don't usually have that. And then in the middle is you as an MSP trying to balance what you need for your customers, right? And so I think that's where we like to live in terms of our data networking suite. So once again, reliable, affordable, and manageable, right? So when I say manageable, we know that you have hundreds of different things that you have to do per day. You have to check, backups. You have to check to make sure that, this process is done. You're dealing with tickets, opening left and right. And what we wanted to do is make it as easy to manage as possible. And we do it in a couple different clever ways, which we will go into. So essentially, what you see here is our networking product or our core networking products. So we have, from the cloud, we have our secure router, we have our switch, we have different sorts of access points all tied together in order to make sure that you have a performant network. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is our access points. So we have 3 different sorts of access points that meet different needs. So we have both Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 access points. We have indoor, outdoor rated access points as well. So you can, deploy on the side of a building or in the building without having to switch out any sort of part or anything of that nature. All of our access points are self-healing mesh, which is awesome. So if one access point falls off or, isn't functioning correctly, it'll automatically self-heal and reroute to make sure that traffic gets to where it needs to get in the best manner possible. It has a built-in captive portal. So if you wanted to make sure that you're getting information, so if you go to a Starbucks and you have to sign in and, give your email, those are things you can do with these access points as well. We have our switches, right? So we have, a couple different configurations. So we have 48, 24, and 8. We have some which are actually layer 3 managed switches as well, right? So it gives you that extra routing capability on one of the models that we have as well. All of these are fully cloud managed. It is, has quality of service controls, plug and play, really and truly robust. You have powered Ethernet on every single one of the ports. All the ports are copper ports. We have our secure router as well. This is our Datto DNA. It is essentially a stateful firewall. So you have all the same principles as something like a Cisco umbrella. You don't need an additional firewall to operate this. You have, true VPN support. You can do site-to-site VPN. It has ITS and IPS, or IDS and IPS, integrated Wi-Fi as well. But the coolest thing about this is that you have built-in cellular service on that device. That's either AT&T or Verizon. So what that means, if your primary circuit goes down, it'll automatically kick over to a secondary circuit or over to the 4G failover, right? So those customers you have who have internet issues, things of that nature, they don't have to deal with that pain point. And then we just recently released our Secure Edge. This is really, really, really cool. Once again, earlier I mentioned about the edge disappearing. But this right here is a cloud managed secure remote access solution. This is going to help you to take care of those customers that you have who have customers or who have employees who are working from home or who are consistently traveling, who just aren't behind the company's firewall. This is going to extend tons of protection to them, right? So because today's network edge is everywhere, you have things like inconsistent and VPN usage, right? Everybody knows it's supposed to be on the VPN. However, half the time people don't go onto the VPN. You can't put a corporate firewall pretty much everywhere, right? You can't give all of your employees that access, and it costs too much, and it'd be very, very hard to manage. It's very, very difficult to manage a hybrid workforce because it is tons of different people and tons of different environments and tons of different routers and tons of different things, and there's no immediate constant. So people have been going back and forth, about remote work and whether it's something that's here to stay, whether it's going back to where it was. We had Elon come up the other day and said that he is all for going back to work, but the truth of the matter is that there's about 4.3 million people in the US that work from home at least half the time. By 2028, 73% of all departments will have remote workers, and globally, 52% of workers work from home at least once per week, right? So we can see that this is something where it's awesome, right? Because people have more flexibility, but there are more concerns that are inherent with this new way that people are working. So the legacy remote connectivity solutions, have a ton of gaps, different types of things from vulnerabilities and exploits. So we're dealing with credential harvesting, remote code execution, hijacking. There's performance issues in terms of latency and degradation when you're dealing with, a connection that has to go through a third or fourth party. And then, a tons of amount of overhead that needs to happen as well, licensing issues, configuration issues, margin issues, and things of that nature. So this is a quick glimpse, and I'll talk about it more within our breakout. But essentially, this is what we have, right? So this solution can be deployed either from a hardware standpoint by utilizing a secure edge appliance, or it can be done as a software client, which is just going to be a download to your laptop, device or desktop. Secure Tunnel is created to our own secure cloud. Within that, our data network manager lives, and then a completely secure tunnel is created to your corporate firewall. This does not need to be, a specific firewall. As long as it has the basic functionality like IPsec2, that will be fine. So we understand that this is a $9.2 billion industry. This solution entrusts the model of zero trust. It combines WAN edge services plus secure service edge capabilities, right? So this is going to make it more secure, eliminate the need for a VPN, and consistent policy reinforcement. This is all wrapped around our data network manager. So this right here is how all of this is managed, right? So it's a single pane of glass. You can have, it's multi-tenanted. You can have all of your different clients from one single viewpoint, and you can see what the status of the networking is. You can get network reports. It is multi-factor authentication as well. But the best thing about this is that you can pretty much change any of these settings remotely. It's done through our cloud manager. So there's nothing that you have to spin up from a cloud controller standpoint, whether it be virtual or having an on-prem hardware cloud controller. It is all done in the cloud. You don't have to worry about anything. So there are a couple of things happened over the last couple of years with COVID. And tons of different supply chain constraints. And so one of the things that Kaseya did was they doubled down and tripled down on orders to make sure that we will have switches, APs, the DNAs in stock, right? So we don't want to see what happened where people are waiting 6 months or a year for project work, right? And keep pushing it down, and not being able to claim that revenue. We want to make sure that we have it in stock. So we have enough volume to get through 2024 with ease. So if you have issues getting hardware, please look at us, see if there's value there, and we'll get you squared away, right? There's also tons of different ways that you can buy this equipment. So you can do like upfront. So you can do, whether it be a CapEx model or an OpEx model. We have different ways to make sure that it fits how you as an MSP go to market and how you sell your services to your end client. So that is all I have. Hopefully I'm within 10 minutes. And I think I am.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. And I love the, as you mentioned, the Datto networking portal, the ability to be able to see everything all in one screen. I know the word single pane of glass might be cliche, but it's still reality, right? I mean, it's still what we are experiencing, and the ability to be able to see everything all in one screen truly makes our lives easier, and just makes it easier to be able to manage our clients. So I love that. Thank you very much, Jason. And we will have more from Jason in our breakout rooms. Last but not least, we've got our good friend Scott Bauer with Quoter. How you doing, Scott?
I had to come off mute there. I am doing well, Dan. I'm very excited to get started back of the bus here, but yeah, got a lot to say.
You tell us one unique thing about you.
Of course. I just recently bought a Corvette.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I can't wait to tell everyone. So
That
I
is
was excited.
awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Yeah, the whole world's going electric, and I'm decided to buy a 6-liter, one of the great American sports cars. So
I just saw Miles taking note of that. He's going to definitely want to have you pick him up for lunch, and so there you go.
yeah,
So
well,
let's
it's got no back seat, so just Miles, no one else. It'll be
exactly
a little date with Miles.
There you go. So let's kick things off. You have control. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 10 minutes, and you are on. Go for it.
Perfect. Thanks. Okay, so I'd like to let's see here, engage the chat a little bit here. Hope you guys are having a good elevator pitch series so far, getting a lot of value out of these chats. I promise I'll try to be right around the 10-minute mark. I really want your attention for 10 minutes. I know I was last of 3, but if I'm buried behind tabs or behind different apps or doing other things, I'd like your attention. We got Carrie, your virtual avatar. It's creeping me out a little bit, but the blank stare, if that's the metaverse, I don't want anything to do with that. But anyway, we'll get started here. So my name's Scott, and before I get into what I have to say about the product that we're selling, I wanted to give a little bit of backstory about who I am. And I'm the director of marketing for Quoter. So what does that mean? I'm responsible for developing and executing our go-to-market strategy, kind of your end-to-end solution provider for anything marketing, both digital and offline. And I feel lucky to work alongside such a smart and ambitious group of people this past year and a half. Been on the road a lot, and I've been learning a ton along the way. Before Quoter, I worked and managed a web development company for about 9 years. And during that time, I was wearing many hats, from sales and consulting to retention, putting out fires, collaborating with a team of 12 to keep projects on budget. This type of work at any service-based business is not easy. And you need to be good at time management and client-side communication. It's easy to slip into the trap of the day-to-day operations of the business and neglect the things that were required to make the business grow. We know we have to build systems, standard operating procedures, and automate as much as we can to scale and run a profitable business. And for me, I got really good at consulting, but quoting was an area of optimization that I overlooked. I was sending quotes and proposals from Google Docs. I had hundreds of revised and quotes and proposals in Google Drive. And I worked with a project manager that would quote on new project expansion or support work ad hoc in email. We never really knew exactly how much pending work was in our pipeline. And we didn't know our conversion rate on RFPs or new client work. Quotes would get lost in email, and it was very difficult to track over time. And when I came to Quoter, I learned that I wasn't alone. In fact, we see about 43% of our demo requests are not using a quoting tool. And the remaining are legacy tools that are partially configured or difficult to use. And there's a new B2B buyer expectation and demands of the hybrid workplaces that these tools haven't quite been able to keep up with. So without an optimized quote to cash system in place, these are some of the downsides or symptoms that we see. Quoting activity is siloed, they're sent with errors, quoting is time consuming, it's deprioritized in the business. So you become more of like a reactive business rather than proactive. And this results in low win rates on RFPs. They look unprofessional, not a good positive first impression. Ugly quotes don't win. Who's Quoter? Well, we are an early growth stage startup based out of Vancouver, Canada. We're a team of 28 on a mission to build the best performing quote to cash platform for MSPs. Today, we service over 1,400 businesses around the world, and we've built over 25 app integrations. We believe that the future of quote to cash is distributed. There's an old way of doing things and a new way. In the old way, there's one person at an MSP that creates, sends, tracks, closes, processes payment, and procures. And in the new way, we see these roles and responsibilities shared across different stakeholders. Everyone at the MSP has visibility into quoting activity. We want anyone to create or draft a quote and be proactive with generating revenue. Everyone is working off the same service catalog, and the end customer accepts, signs, pays, sending an approved quote to accounting, the PSA, and the client themselves. And what's the result from all this? Well, the MSP becomes more profitable, operates more efficiently, and quoting becomes, dare I say, fun. How does it work? Quoter provides an environment to configure your quote to cash system. And we'll show you this in more detail on our breakout session led by Jan. But we understand that there's businesses at different sizes and different levels of maturity or sophistication with their quote to cash process. But our core product touches on things like smart templates, a product cloud, CPQ functionality, manager approvals, seamless integrations, as well as that e-sign and payment that I talked about. To go into a bit more detail, standardized pricing from a service and product catalog. What does that mean? Well, these guardrails allow you to take the first step in having confidence that more people in an organization can quote. Standardization eliminates errors and significantly speeds up the time it takes to build a quote. Adding new services or changes in pricing become very easy, doing it from one place. And onboarding new employees to this system is much easier in self-serve, which, as we're hybrid and remote, it's a much more, it's a better fit for that type of workplace. Unlimited user pricing. In our category, this separates us from the pack. We are the only quoting tool that has unlimited user pricing. And what this does is it eliminates the quoting silo, providing team visibility and enablement. You don't have the business owner provisioning or only giving seats or licenses to the people that are actively quoting. You can go organizational wide. And now you can see user attribution on who sent which quote, with the ability to look up quick reports on performance. The team can see which services are driving the most revenue and identify expansion opportunities to maximize customer lifetime value. The end customer experience matters, and I think that this is overlooked a lot. Quote template design that looks professional and easy to read creates that positive first impression when quoting for potential customers. And customers want to buy from you in a frictionless way. They want to accept, sign, pay their deposit with a confirmation and approved quote. And they might not want to do that inside of business hours, especially if you operate in different time zones. And Quoter, it's automation powered by integration. So in our integration ecosystem, we tie into all the major PSAs, QuickBooks, your accounting software, and some major CRMs, all the major payment processors, and of course, major distributors. We are also investing heavily in our integration ecosystem and building that out even more. Let's get into a partner story here. So this one is by one of our partners, IT Goat. They're based out of the United States. They've been using Quoter for about 2 years, and they migrated from ConnectWise Sell. It's been over 2 years since IT Goat introduced this new quoting system to their business. Creating quote templates lets IT Goat standardize different job types so that even the newest hires can create well-crafted and organized proposals quickly. With Quoter's unlimited user pricing, IT Goat can grow without having to pay per seat, and anyone from the business can be added with one of our 6 user levels to control access. That's just one of many stories. To get started with Quoter, it's dead simple. You'll have your own dedicated success manager to help migrate and get your account configured. Our implementation team has migrated hundreds of MSPs just like yours. They know what to watch out for, how to properly configure your integrations, and best practices around quote template design. We also offer free lifetime support, and we pride ourselves in our ability to keep our partners at the center of what we do. If you're an MSP not using Quoter, I recommend that you come to our breakout room to see more. It'll be led by our sales manager, Jan, and I'll be in there to help moderate the chat. We've also got a very exclusive offer that I can't even say on the recorded call here. So come into the breakout room and we can talk about it and see if Quoter is a good fit. That's all. Thanks.
Awesome. And I love the end with Michael Scott. You can't go wrong with Michael Scott, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so
I just want to say one more thing. Follow our company page on LinkedIn. Really trying to get those numbers up. That's the one ask I have of you guys.
Very cool. And my takeaway here is a quote that you had thrown out as far as the demos you're doing, that 43% are not using a quoting tool. And and it's so critical that when we have a conversation with a client or prospective client, and we're needing to get a quote to them, that we're doing that in the most quick and efficient manner as possible, because the longer we wait, there's just more distraction for them. Maybe they'll delay and not decide to go forward. So having a quoting tool is so critical. So we're going to be opening up our breakout rooms All right, everybody, we are, everybody should be back here now, back into our main room. And hope you guys all got some good information from each of our vendors, learned some more details about them. So a couple things that I want to mention. We did do the poll, so we'll have each of those vendors reach out to you. We also did provide for you in the chat, and also for those out in Facebook land, in the comments, their LinkedIn profile. So be sure to reach out to them, connect with them on LinkedIn, as well as connect on their company profile page as well. So we have our winner, and the winner of our $250 hard cold cash is Thomas McClendon with Citadel Networks. So congratulations to Thomas. We will have Taylor reach out to you and connect with you about getting those dollars over to you. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody for your time today. We always enjoy our elevator pitches. Great opportunity to learn from some vendors. Our job is as MSPs is to continue to improve our service offering, to increase productivity, to increase efficiencies, increase the client experience, and most importantly, to drive new profitability into our businesses. And we do that through finding additional things that we can add to our stack and make our businesses better. So with that being said, everybody, I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day, as well as a great holiday weekend. And we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you, everyone. Peace out.